Welcome to our channel. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Warning, the following contains images of graphic violence and not suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
I'm all healthy and feeling great and all full of liquids.
How was your stay in the hospital?
It was terrific. Look. They're so much fun and so great. I don't feel like staying a couple extra days.
Did you just need a little R&R?
Well, I just needed really liquids. I was totally dehydrated. I've suffered from that 3 times in my life, and I kind of hate water, you know, and I never replace as much as I lose, especially on concert tours.
Early life. Marvin Gaye Jr. was born on April 2, 1939, at Freedman's Hospital in Washington, D.C. to church minister Marvin Gaye Sr. and domestic worker Alberta Gaye, née Cooper. His first home was in a public housing project, the Fairfax Apartments, now demolished, at 1617 1st Street Southwest in the Southwest Waterfront neighborhood. Although one of the city's oldest neighborhoods, with many elegant Federal-style homes, most buildings were small, in extensive disrepair, and lacked both electricity and running water. The alleys were full of 1- and 2-story shacks, and nearly every dwelling was overcrowded. Gaye and his friends nicknamed the area Simple City, owing to it being half city, half country. Gaye was the second oldest of the couple's 4 children. He had 2 sisters, Jean and Zeola, and 1 brother, Frankie Gaye. He also had 2 half-brothers, Michael Cooper, his mother's son from a previous relationship, and Antoine Carey Gaye, born as a result of one of his father's extramarital affairs. Gaye started singing in church when he was 4 years old. His father often accompanied him on piano. Gaye and his family were part of a Pentecostal church known as the House of God that took its teachings from Pentecostalism, advocated strict conduct, and adhered to both the Old and New Testaments. Gaye developed a love of singing at an early age and was encouraged to pursue a professional music career after a performance at a school play at 11 singing Mario Lanza's Be My Love. His home life consisted of brutal whippings by his father, who struck him for any shortcoming. The young Gaye described living in his father's house as similar to living with a king, a very peculiar, changeable, cruel, and all-powerful. He felt that had his mother not consoled him and encouraged his singing, he would have committed suicide. His sister later explained that Gaye was beaten often, from age 7 well into his teenage years. Gaye attended Syphax Elementary School and then Randall Junior High School. Gaye began to take singing much more seriously in junior high, and he joined and became a singing star with the Randall Junior High Glee Club. In 1953 or 1954, the Gayes moved into the East Capitol Dwellings public housing project in D.C.'s Capitol View neighborhood. Their townhouse apartment, Unit 12, 60th Street Northeast, now demolished, was Marvin's home until 1962. Gaye briefly attended Spingarn High School, before transferring to Cardozo High School. At Cardozo, Gaye joined several doo-wop vocal groups, including the Dippers and the DC Tones. Gaye's relationship with his father worsened during his teenage years, as his father would kick him out of the house often. In 1956, 17-year-old Gaye dropped out of high school and enlisted in the United States Air Force as an airman basic. His early disenchantment with the service was similar to most of his peers who were made to perform menial labor, not working on jet airplanes as hope. Gaye later said he lost his virginity to a local prostitute while in the Air Force. He feigned mental illness and was given a general discharge, with an outgoing performance review from his sergeant remarking Airman Gaye cannot adjust to regimentation nor authority.
Your main ambitions when you was a little boy, very young, you wanted to go in show business. And I think you probably have accomplished some of the things that was in your mind that you want to accomplish. And so now you feel that if you had to do it again, you'd rather be a doctor.
No, I
guess it's
think
because
of a
your
lot
mind
of
have
things
changed.
I'd rather be. But I don't know if I wouldn't still be a performer. Because in this life, I love music, and music is is my love. You know, it's all I know. But I'm thinking that if I were not musical, if I didn't have talent, musical talent somewhere, then I'd probably enjoy being a doctor. I like to make people feel better.
Well, I can say that you have always loved people.
Oops.
Even from a small child, you know, when your father used to take you to church, where all other children, you know, would be sitting down where they belong. You have to get up in the rosters somewhere if you have to sit on a little edge of it or somewhere near the piano, so you can see the little head sticking up. He's a little small fella, but that's where you always find yourself.
That's the way Marvin is now.
Around
He's got to be on the stage.
As people say, you was found always among the doctors and the lawyers, the preachers, the deacons, or somebody. You run where children was.
Well, you don't find me around too many lawyers today. Few deacons, yeah.
Yeah, well, why not the lawyers?
Well, they're terrific. How'd you like the concert last night?
I probably can't express it to you exactly how I felt, but it was a terrific feeling to know. I think about my son. And after him, and the way the people, you know, I get my joy from the people, the reaction of the people. When I see the people reacting, that they love you and the way they are applauding and screaming, I really don't see you that much. I'm looking at the people.
Early career. Following his discharge from the Air Force, Gaye and his good friend Reese Palmer formed the vocal quartet, the Marquis. The group performed in the D.C. area and soon began working with Bo Diddley, who assigned the group to Columbia subsidiary OK Records after failing to get the group signed to his own label. Chess, the group's sole single, Wyatt Earp, co-written by Bo Diddley, failed to chart and the group was soon dropped from the label. Gaye began composing music during this period. Moonglow's co-founder, Harvey Fuqua, later hired the Marquis as employees. Under Fuqua's direction, the group changed its name to Harvey and the New Moonglows, and relocated to Chicago. The group recorded several sides for Chess in 1959, including the song Mama Lucy, which was Gaye's first lead vocal recording. Citation needed, the group found work as session singers for established acts such as Chuck Berry, singing on the songs Back in the USA and Almost Grown. In 1960, the group disbanded. Gaye relocated to Detroit with Fuqua, where he signed with Tri-Fi Records as a session musician, playing drums on several Tri-Fi releases. Gaye performed at Motown president Berry Gordy's house during the holiday season in December 1960. Impressed, Gordy sought Fuqua on his contract with Gaye. Fuqua agreed to sell part of his interest in his contract with Gaye. Shortly afterwards, Gaye signed with Motown subsidiary Tamla, citation needed. When Gaye signed with Tamla, he pursued a career as a performer of jazz music and standards, having no desire to become an R&B performer. Before the release of his first single, Gaye started spelling his surname with added E, in the same way as did Sam Cooke. Author David Ritz wrote that Gaye did this to silence rumors of his sexuality, and to put more distance between himself and his father. Gaye released his first single, Let Your Conscience Be Your Guide, in May 1961, with the album The Soulful Moods of Marvin Gaye, following a month later. Gaye's initial recordings failed commercially, and he spent most of 1961 performing session work as a drummer for artists such as The Miracles, The Marvelettes, and blues artist Jimmy Reed for $5, $51 in 2023 a week. While Gaye took some advice on performing with his eyes open, having been accused of appearing as though he were sleeping, and also got pointers on how to move more gracefully on stage, he refused to attend grooming school courses at the John Robert Power School for Social Grace in Detroit because of his unwillingness to comply with its orders, something he later regretted. Gaye was also one of the few Motown artists who took no dance lessons from Charlie Atkins. Initial success. In 1962, Gaye found success as co-writer of the Marvelettes' track Beechwood 4 to 5789, on which he also played drums. His first solo success, Stubborn Kind of Fellow, was later released that September, reaching number 8 on the R&B chart and number 46 on the Billboard Hot 100. Gaye first reached the pop top 40 with the dance song, Hitchhike, peaking at number 30 on the Hot 100. Pride and Joy became Gaye's first top 10 single after its release in 1963. The 3 singles and songs from the 1962 sessions were included on Gaye's second album, That Stubborn Kind of Fellow, released on Tamla in January 1963. Starting in October 1962, Gaye performed as part of the Motown Review, a series of concert tours headlined at the north and southeastern coasts of the United States as part of the Chitlin Circuit, a series of rock shows performed at venues that welcomed predominantly black musicians. A filmed performance of Gaye at the Apollo Theater took place in June 1963. Later that October, Tamla issued the live album, Marvin Gaye Recorded Live on Stage. Can I Get a Witness became one of Gaye's early international successes. In 1964, Gaye recorded a successful duet album with singer Mary Wells titled Together, which reached number 42 on the pop album chart. The album's 2-sided single, including Once Upon a Time and What's the Matter with You Baby, each reached the top 20. Gaye's next solo success, How Sweet It Is to Be Loved by You, which Holland Dozier Holland wrote for him, reached number 6 on the Hot 100 and reached the top 50 in the UK. Gaye started getting television exposure around this time on shows such as American Bandstand. Also in 1964, he appeared in the concert film, The TAMI Show. Gaye had 2 #1 R&B singles in 1965 with The Miracles, composed I'll Be Doggone and Ain't That Peculiar. Both songs became million sellers. After this, Gaye returned to jazz-derived ballads for a tribute album to the recently deceased Nat King Cole. After recording It Takes Two with Kim Weston, Gaye began working with Tammy Terrell on a series of duets, mostly composed by Ashford and Simpson, including Ain't No Mountain High Enough, Your Precious Love, Ain't Nothing Like the Real Thing and You're All I Need to Get By. Citation needed. In October 1967, Terrell collapsed in Gaye's arms during a performance in Farmville, Virginia, 59. Terrell was subsequently rushed to Farmville's Southside Community Hospital, where doctors discovered she had a malignant tumor in her brain. The diagnosis ended Terrell's career as a live performer, though she continued to record music under careful supervision. Despite the presence of successful singles such as Ain't Nothing Like the Real Thing and You're All I Need to Get By, Terrell's illness caused problems with recording, and led to multiple operations to remove the tumor. Gaye was reportedly devastated by Terrell's sickness and became disillusioned with the record business. On October 6, 1968, Gaye sang the national anthem during Game 4 of the 1968 World Series, held at Tiger Stadium, in Detroit, Michigan, between the Detroit Tigers and the St. Louis Cardinals. In late 1968, Gaye's recording of I Heard It Through the Grapevine became his first to reach number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It also reached the top of the charts in other countries, selling over 4 million copies. However, Gaye felt the success was something he didn't deserve and that he felt like a puppet, Barry's puppet, Anna's puppet. Gaye followed it up with Too Busy Thinking About My Baby and That's the Way Love Is, which reached the top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1969. That year, his album MPG became his first number 1 album on the R&B album charts. During this period, Gaye produced and co-wrote Baby I'm For Real and The Bells for the Originals. On October 6, 1968, Gaye sang the national anthem during Game 4 of the 1968 World Series, held at Tiger Stadium, in Detroit, Michigan, between the Detroit Tigers and the St. Louis Cardinals. In late 1968, Gaye's recording of I Heard It Through the Grapevine became his first to reach number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It also reached the top of the charts in other countries, selling over 4 million copies. However, Gaye felt the success was something he didn't deserve and that he felt like a puppet, Barry's puppet, Anna's puppet. Gaye followed it up with Too Busy Thinking About My Baby and That's the Way Love Is, which reached the top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1969. That year, his album MPG became his first number 1 album on the R&B album charts. During this period, Gaye produced and co-wrote Baby I'm For Real and The Bells for the Originals. Tammy Terrell died from brain cancer on March 16, 1970. Gaye attended her funeral and after a period of depression, Gaye sought out a position on a professional football team, the Detroit Lions, where he later befriended Mel Farr and Lem Barney, 66. Barney and Farr had gotten gold records for providing backup vocals for the title track of Gaye's What's Going On album. The Lions played along for the publicity, but ultimately declined an invitation for Gaye to try out, owing to legal liabilities and fears of possible injuries that could have affected his music career.
It was a sea of humanity. I just know that I was performing for them and I was singing for them. It seemed like millions of people. Towards the end of my dream, I used to dream this regularly when I was a child. I was acclaimed the greatest, not performer, the words were the greatest singer on earth. And I used to dream that.
For many years, Marvin sang only in church. Even as a child, he would have the church in an uproar. It gave Marvin confidence in his singing. But things weren't easy at home. Marvin's father was tough and tyrannical. And although Marvin found joy in the companionship of his brothers and sisters, he was constantly getting in trouble. Ziola, Marvin's little sister, said one house rule was never to touch their father's hairbrush. But Marvin couldn't leave it alone. Like clockwork, Marvin seemed to come home and find his hairbrush not where he left it to give Marvin a beating. Beatings were not unusual in the Gaye household. Marvin got a lot of whipping. But what he found more embarrassing was his father's bizarre behavior. Years later, Marvin confessed to his biographer, David Ritz, that his father used to dress in women's clothes. Marvin never understood it, but it caused him shame and created a sexual insecurity that haunted Marvin his whole life. To get away from the conflicts at home, Marvin quit high school and enlisted in the Air Force.
I fraudulently enlisted into the armed forces, the Air Force, actually. I did a horrible stint in the Air Force. It was terrible. I got an honorable discharge under general conditions in Section 214, something about unable to adjust to regimentation and authority and good riddance or something like that. I remember when I enlisted, I spoke to the enlisting officer. I had great news about going into special services so that I could perform. Very exciting. Sing, play music, and do my number. Well, it didn't work out so much. So we left, and I came back to Washington, and we hooked up at Harvey Fuqua.
Harvey Fuqua became a mentor and a friend. He was the founder of a group called the Moonglows. Marvin idolized Harvey and was thrilled when Harvey asked him to join the band. In 1959, 19-year-old Marvin Gaye left home and headed to Chicago with Harvey and the Moonglows. He said he had signed on with Harvey for life. After a year of small-town club dates, the Moonglows ended up in Detroit. It didn't take long for Harvey Fuqua to realize his own best singing days were behind him, but Marvin Gaye had a brilliant future. Harvey took Marvin under his wing and introduced him to a young record producer, a man who would change Marvin's life. The man was Berry Gordy Jr., president of a new record company called Motown. Motown wasn't much more than a little local label, but a big change was going to come. Berry Gordy met Marvin in 1960 at Motown's Christmas party. Gordy noticed Marvin playing some jazz and chords on the piano, which impressed him. And Marvin started to sing, revealing a soft, soulful voice.
Barry heard me playing that piano. And he came over and said, I think if I can recall, he said something to the effect. But I like that melody, and can you do something else with it or something like that? And he wanted me to change some chords, and I had a brief argument with him about why I thought it should remain the way I wrote it.
Berry Gordy wanted to sign Marvin Gaye on the spot. Feeling a bit overwhelmed, Berry left Marvin to his piano and joined the other party guests, but all he could think about was Marvin Gaye. A short time after that, Marvin signed with Motown. So began one of the most successful and complicated relationships in Motown history. The label became Marvin's college. 60s, the talent roster of Motown included Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, Mary Wells, the Supremes, the Four Tops, the Temptations, Martha and the Vandellas, Gladys Knight and the Pips, Tammy Terrell, and Little Stevie Wonder. And there were great songwriters, such as Holland Dozier Holland, Ashford and Simpson, Norman Whitfield, and Barrett Strong. It wasn't long before Marvin Gaye joined that pantheon. It wasn't long until Marvin Gaye was Motown's brightest star.
On June 1, 1970, Gaye returned to Hitsville, USA, where he recorded his new composition, What's Going On, inspired by an idea from Ronaldo Obi Benson of the Four Tops after he witnessed an act of police brutality at an anti-war rally in Berkeley. Upon hearing the song, Berry Gordy refused its release due to his feelings of the song being too political for radio and feared Gaye would lose his crossover audience. Gaye responded by deciding against releasing any other new material before the label released it. Released in 1971, it reached No. 1 on the R&B charts within a month, staying there for 5 weeks. It also reached the top spot on Cashbox's pop chart for a week and reached number 2 on the Hot 100 and the Record World Chart, selling over 2 million copies. After giving an ultimatum to record a full album to win creative control from Motown, Gaye spent 10 days recording the What's Going On album that March. Motown issued the album that May after Gaye remixed the album in Hollywood. The album became Gaye's first million-selling album, launching 2 more top 10 singles, Mercy Mercy Me, The Ecology, and Inner City Blues. One of Motown's first autonomous works, its theme and segue flow brought the concept album format to rhythm and blues and soul music. An AllMusic writer later cited it as the most important and passionate record to come out of soul music, delivered by one of its finest voices. For the album, Gaye received 2 Grammy Award nominations at the 1972 ceremony and several NAACP Image Awards. The album also topped Rolling Stone's year-end list as its Album of the Year. Billboard magazine named Gaye Trendsetter of the Year following the album's success. In 1971, Gaye signed a new deal with Motown worth $1 million, $7,523,418 in 2023 dollars, making it the most lucrative deal by a black recording artist at the time. Gaye first responded to the new contract with the soundtrack and subsequent score, Trouble Man, released in late 1972. Before the release of Trouble Man, Marvin released a single called You're the Man. The album of the same name was a follow-up to What's Going On, but Motown refused to promote the single, according to Gaye. According to some biographies, which Gordy, who was considered a moderate, feared Gaye's left-leaning political views would alienate Motown's moderately liberal audiences. As a result, Gaye shelved the project and substituted it for Trouble Man. In 2019, Universal Music Group released the album on what would have been Gaye's 80th birthday. In between the releases of What's Going On and Trouble Man, Gaye and his family relocated to Los Angeles, making Marvin one of the final Motown artists to move there despite early protests urging him to stay in Detroit. In August 1973, Gaye released the Let's Get It On album. Its title track became Gaye's second #1 single on the Hot 100. The album was later hailed as a record unparalleled in its sheer sensuality and carnal energy. Other singles from the album included Come Get to This, which recalled Gaye's early Motown soul sound of the previous decade, while the suggestive You Sure Love to Ball reached modest success on the R&B charts, while also managing to make the pop top 50, its success halted by radio refusing to play the sexually explicit song. In the 1970s, Gaye's sister-in-law turned her attention to Frankie Beverly, the founder of Maze. Marvin took them on his tours and featured them as the opening acts of his concerts and persuaded Beverly to change the band's name from Raw Soul to Maze. Marvin's final duet project, Diana and Marvin, with Diana Ross, garnered international success despite contrasting artistic styles. Much of the material was crafted especially for the duo by Ashford and Simpson. Responding to demand from fans and Motown, Gaye started his first concert tour in 4 years at the Oakland, Alameda County Coliseum on January 4, 1974. The performance received critical acclaim and resulted in the release of the live album, Marvin Gaye Live, and its single, a live version of Distant Lover, an album track from Let's Get It On. The tour helped to enhance Gaye's reputation as a live performer. For a time, he was earning $100,000 a night, $617,814 in 2023 dollars for performances. Gaye toured throughout 1974 and 1975. A renewed contract with Motown allowed Gaye to build his own custom-made recording studio. In October 1975, Gaye gave a performance at a UNESCO benefit concert at New York's Radio City Music Hall to support UNESCO's African Literacy Drive, resulting in him being commended at the United Nations by then-Ambassador to Ghana Shirley Temple Black and Kurt Waldheim. Gaye's next studio album, I Want You, followed in March 1976 with the title track, I Want You, reaching #1 on the R&B charts. The album would go on to sell over 1 million copies. That spring, Gaye embarked on his first European tour in a decade, starting off in Belgium. In early 1977, Gaye released the live album, Live at the London Palladium, which sold over 2 million copies thanks to the success of its studio song, Got to Give It Up, which charted at #1. In September 1977, Gaye opened Radio City Music Hall's New York Pop Arts Festival. In December 1978, Gaye released Here, My Dear, inspired by the fallout from his first marriage to Anna Gordy. Recorded with the intention of remitting a portion of its royalties to her as alimony payments, it performed poorly on the charts. During that period, Gaye's cocaine addiction intensified while he was dealing with several financial issues with the IRS. These issues led him to move to Maui, where he struggled to record a disco-influenced album titled Love Man, with a probable release date for February 1980, though he would later shelve the project. That year, Gaye went on a European tour, his first in 4 years, 88. By the time the tour stopped, he had relocated to London when he feared imprisonment for failure to pay back taxes, which had now reached upwards of $4.5 million, $16,640,549 in 2023 dollars. Gaye then reworked Love Man from its original disco concept to another socially conscious album invoking religion and the possible end time from a chapter in the Book of Revelation, 90, titling the album In Our Lifetime. Gaye worked on the album for much of 1980 in London studios such as Air and Odyssey Studios. In the fall of that year, a master tape of a rough draft of the album was stolen from one of Gaye's traveling musicians, Frank Blair, and taken to Motown's Hollywood headquarters. Motown remixed the album and released it on January 15, 1981. When Gaye learned of its release, he accused Motown of editing and remixing the album without his consent, allowing the release of an unfinished production, Far Cry, altering the cover art and removing the album title's ? Muting its irony. He also accused the label of rush releasing the album, comparing his unfinished album to an unfinished Pablo Picasso painting. Gaye then vowed not to record any more music for Motown. In the early afternoon of April 1, 1984, Gaye intervened in a fight between his parents in the family house in the West Adams neighborhood of Western Heights in Los Angeles. He became involved in a physical altercation with his father, Marvin Gaye Sr., who shot Gaye twice, once in the chest, piercing his heart, and then into his shoulder. The shooting took place in Gaye's bedroom at 12:38 p.m. Gaye was pronounced dead at 1:01 p.m. after his body arrived at California Hospital Medical Center, the day before his 45th birthday. After Gaye's funeral, his body was cremated at Forest Lawn Memorial Park, Hollywood Hills, and his ashes were scattered into the Pacific Ocean. Gaye Sr. was initially charged with first-degree murder, but the charges were reduced to voluntary manslaughter following a diagnosis of a brain tumor. He was given a suspended 6-year sentence and probation. He died at a nursing home in 1998.